Here, Kayla's working on luring Junior here into a down. You don't have to do it this way, but it's the way I like to do it. It's more of a competition style down. That's not exactly the point of it, because I mean, he's a pet dog. If they wanted to do anything more advanced with him, he'll be set up for it, but it creates a much cleaner positioning. It's much more clear to the dog, where he kind of rocks back into a down, so his front feet are going to stay where they're at, and he's going to rock backwards into a down instead of starting from a sitting position and then lowering his nose down like a lot of people like to do. I used to do it that way too, but you do with a lot of dogs get a lot of forward creeping when you do that. It's just not as precise. It's one of the nice things about taking the extra time for training the way that we do, is we can do this stuff in a more precise way. Because again, the more exact their understanding of the positioning is and all that stuff, the cleaner it gets when they have to do it under distraction. If you need them to lay down, you just want them to lay down and not move, right? So we're going to teach them exactly how we want them to lay down, and then get them to do that without thinking about it. And then from there, and you'll get to see next week how we start to get them to do this stuff without the physical help here and under a lot of distraction. Dropping food. Yeah, he's gonna be a fun shepherd. He's super cool. When you're starting teaching the dog heel positioning, we're going to utilize their ability to lure. You want to set the rep up like so with them directly in front of you. Right now we are using a wall to keep him straight as he comes back around into the heel position. The first thing Kayla's going to do here is get his nose on the food, and she's going to use that to lure him past her left leg. Notice how she's keeping her right foot planted. She steps back with her left leg, brings him back behind her. We're going to do this multiple times, so don't worry. There's a lot of moving parts here.
Yes.
But essentially, she's using the luring to bring her back past her. She's stepping back with her left leg just to give herself a little bit more balance and more leverage as she because when you bring him all the way back past you, behind you, it makes it easier to get them to turn and then come back up to the heel position so that they're straight. So she's going to bring him back, and then she's going to bring her feet back together and then bring her hand up. Not every dog it will automatically, if you haven't practiced it, sit straight up when you bring your when you lower their nose up like this. This is sometimes something you have to practice. That's a topic for another video. If your dog is not lowering up into a sit like this at your side, you can absolutely, and you should, practice that as its own skill. Rudy here likes to sit back a little bit. We're not going to worry about it too much for this video, but it's definitely something we're going to keep our eye on and try to clean up as we go. But if you have a dog that does not lower up into a sit at your side, you absolutely can still practice this. Just mark and reward while they're standing at your left side. The point here is we want to build the muscle memory here. We want to get them used to this movement pattern of moving back past your left leg, turning in towards you, and then landing and stopping right in the heel position at your leg. So she's going to bring him back in towards her, up next to her left leg, and then up into a sit, and then she's going to mark and reward. This takes a ton of repetition. Don't get discouraged if they absolutely suck at it right away. That's normal.
Good. Yes.
So notice how she's resetting every rep to be mostly the same. She's bringing them in front of her. You don't have to tell them to sit. She's just using the food. She can use the leash if she needs to a little bit as well, to just position him facing her. Wait for him to stop scratching here before we keep going. She's going to get his nose on the food, bring him back past her, and then up into a sit. That is the first step of getting the heel positioning taught. After you've done enough repetitions, it may be 1 session, it may be 10 sessions. Don't rush it. It's going to be different dog to dog. But the next step in the progression would be to try to get away from the wall. The wall is a very useful tool, and you don't have to use a wall. I've used like a fence line, I've used a vehicle, I've used a counter in my kitchen. The idea is to have something that will prevent them from sitting crooked when they come back up into a heel position. We just want to control as many variables as we can when we first start building the muscle memory for how we want them to do this command. But from here, now we're going to move away from the wall, and he knows how to follow the food in the same pattern. So we're just doing the same thing. There's just no bumpers in the bowling lane anymore.
Yes.
You'll rep that out, again, as many reps as you need. You're not going to do all this stuff in 1 session. This will take potentially several weeks to do. With dogs that we have here in training, it often, like, we're doing multiple training sessions in a day, and it'll often take 3, 4, 5 days sometimes for them to have this really down to where we don't have to like guide them the entire way. Once the dog is comfortable doing it this way, away from the wall, like nothing else has changed. The only thing that changed was moving the wall. Now we're going to start to fade the lure a little bit. So now Kayla's not stepping back with her left leg. She's guiding him in the same fashion. Now, you would know very quickly if the dog is not able to move back past you and then land in the correct position. We don't want him sitting crooked. We want him pretty much parallel to you. If he's not able to do that, then you'll catch it right away and you're just not ready. You just do more reps where you're stepping back, but if you can do this, it's just a little bit less help. Once you get to this point, this is when we're gonna we're in the process right now. It's subtle, like of fading the lure. Like we are just doing a little bit less than we're typically doing. So we're not doing the full, take a big step back, guide them back past us and all that stuff. At this point is when we can start using the command first. So she's gonna now start saying heel and then starting the luring process after he's done chewing his food that he forgot to chew.
Heel.
The idea here is to kind of force progression a little bit because dogs are very good at paying attention to these physical cues. So if all we're doing is guiding the dog with the food, that's all they're going to be willing to do. It's relatively easy at this point. So I want the dog to be able to, once they're paying attention to me, just say the word heel and have them do this whole movement pattern and get into a heel. So the process to do it is to gradually wean off of the help. So we're going to start each rep at this point with the verbal command.
Heel.
Then she's going to use the physical help.
There you go. Come on.
And he's getting tired, so we're not going to be able to do too much more with him in this session. But this is the next step in that progression, is you start with the verbal command and then you help.
Heel.
And you do this
There you go.
a couple hundred times and he will just end up doing it.
Yes.
So we'll show you in a future video, once we get him to that point, what it looks like once we fully faded the lure. We see he's already starting to kind of do it on his own after he hears a verbal command with a minimal amount of help. That's what we want to see.
Heel. There you go.
There's the verbal command, and then a little bit of help to help him finish the rep.
Yes.
And then we mark and reward. All right, guys, weekend with Cash here. And I can now work him without the snare pull. I can work him with food. I am still minding my P's and Q's with him. I'm not getting out here, making a bunch of eye contact with him, not putting a ton of pressure on him yet. But he trusts me. He trusts how my and his, interactions are gonna go. So this is where a lot of people get lulled into that false sense of security I keep talking about. The amount of dogs that go through rescues and things like that because they had some aggression issues, and then people get the dogs, they get them settled in with them, and a lot of trainers, take it so hard. a lot of trainers fall into this trap too, where there's this, I think this assumption that like, if I can get the dog to be like something, yes, then they're fine and everybody else is the problem. But therein lies the problem. He's not my dog, right? Like, I need to prepare him for the world. And part of that is teaching him how to handle stress and how to handle pressure in a way that is not like super aggressive. Like, he's obviously very confident at times. Yes. The only thing he's not confident about is if he gets into an interaction with a human that he views as confrontational. So you notice how, like, when I'm working him still, I'm paying attention to like where he's at, what he can get to. I'm keeping my hand here on this leash because if he comes up at me, I'm gonna have to string him up and stop him. Sit. But as long as his expectation of this interaction, yes, is this positive stuff that we've been doing, there's no cause for any type of aggression. Again, that doesn't mean that he's going to go back home and just be hanging out in the living room doing whatever he wants, and the people can do whatever they want, and he's just going to automatically be fine. There's that, that sit. There you go. There was a little bit of a look there he gave me. I wish I had a camera on this side so you could see it. Yes, there was a little bit of me and him feeling each other out there. Like, are we doing this or not? He chose not to. He chose the positive stuff that I've been showing that me and him have been doing. There you go. Good boy. Down. Nope. Down. Down. Right. Down. No. Sit. Don't like the way he's looking at me there, so we're gonna redirect really quick. Come on. Sit. He's not a super big fan, apparently. Down. Of me making him do a ton of thinking. But so I've only done a little bit of this leash pressure and stuff with him, so I'm paying attention to like how much he's willing to tolerate before it gets to where he's like, I'm done with this shit. It's not what I feel like doing right now. Sit. And then, cause like if he keeps staring at me like this and I decide like I'm gonna push this really hard, he's not ready for that yet. He's gonna be here, sit, in another week or two. There we go, good boy. Where he will accept and tolerate that amount of pressure I'm gonna put on him, but we're not there yet. Yes. Again, like he has a long history of questionable interactions with people. So if I'm like, no, hey, screw you, I said do this, I'm the boss, you have to do it. His instinct is gonna be to stand his ground. He's gonna stand on business and try to come at me. There we go. Yes, so what I'm doing is I'm teaching him how to handle this pressure, how to handle this stress without having to resort to confrontation. Sit. What I want him to understand, sit. Here you go, sit. There you go, good boy. Yes, what I want him to understand, let's go. There you go, good boy. Is that even if I am putting pressure on you, sit, and making you do something, no. Yes, it's because I'm trying to help you win. I'm trying to get you to the thing that you ultimately want. I want him to truly, honestly believe that what I want and what he wants are the same thing. I want him to know and understand that we are on the same team, even if I am correcting you, even if I am telling you no, putting pressure on you, saying, no, you're gonna do this anyways. I want him to have this perception, this understanding, yes, that is still in his best interest, and he doesn't need to get all super defensive about it. As long as he perceives it that way, he will be fine. Sit. Good boy. Yes. But again, a lot of dog trainers will mess themselves up with dogs like this because they'll either try too hard to bully him into doing stuff, sit, or they won't try hard enough and they won't teach him how to handle any pressure. Yes, they'll just work positive reinforcement like this. Again, like I even got him to play tug with me yesterday, which he didn't really know how to do or really want to do initially when he got here. And it was an enjoyable experience for him. But if that's all I do is sit, the stuff that he already wanted to do in the first place, and I never teach him how to handle stress, then as soon as it happens for real, nope. Yes, somebody's gonna get nailed, somebody's gonna get bit. Okay, good boy. When we first start teaching commands, we're almost always using some type of physical prompt with a hand gesture or luring or whatever. And something that it doesn't get talked a lot about in the dog training industry, because most dog trainers are using a lot of hand gestures as well, in addition to like verbal commands. But like, so what's the difference? When do you use which one? When do you use a hand signal? When do you use a command? With, you know, the place command, for example, that we're using for this video, we're often going to be teaching them by guiding them up onto the raised dog bed with their food, and that can very quickly translate over to something as simple as a point. You call that I call it a gesture. You could call it a hand signal, whatever you want, it doesn't matter. Now, she can do it when you point, but there are going to be times in life where you set up perfectly for each rep, where the dog isn't sitting pretty in front of you, paying attention, waiting for the next command. So there are going to be times when you need to be able to just say place and have the dog go to place. Dogs are really, really visual learners, so if you don't wean off of that physical help, that hand signal, then that's the only way that they're going to know to be able to do it. So we need to make sure that when you say place, they can also do it even without that hand signal. There's different circumstances to use different ones. Like, there's no harm in it and, you know, saying place and then showing your dog where place is. But it's a really good practice to also wean off of it to make sure that they understand both of the prompts or commands individually. So you could look at, go ahead and give her a point here this next rep. You could call this point or this hand gesture or hand signal, you could call that a command. That's me telling you to go to place, right? You also, if she just stands still and just says the word place, does she know it the same way? If not, you have some work to do. Because what you're gonna end up wanting to do, especially with this command, you may be sitting down on the couch and you know, petting your dog or whatever, someone comes to the door, and then you need to be able to say place. And them actually do it. That lets you know that they deeply understand the command and they're actually going to be able to do it if the circumstances aren't set up like, oh, I'm in a formal training session. What we're doing ultimately is preparing the dog to be able to use this stuff in the real world, in real life.
Yes. Good boy. Yes.
Major's slowly but surely coming out of his shell here. I think by the time it's all said and done with him, he's definitely going to be a crowd favorite. The working dogs like him are, like, I'm really passionate about it because, like, again, like when he first got here, he wanted nothing to do with training. He didn't want us to tell him what to do. He just wanted to stay in his little bubble and be left alone, but that's really no way to live your life. That's why he's here. That's why he had all the problems that he had, why they weren't able to get him to do anything, because if he really dug his feet in, like, they were not able to physically make him do anything. So getting him to willingly and voluntarily accept guidance from us in a way where if he's enjoying it, he's more apt to do it, right? So this is what we want to see. He's definitely behind, but it doesn't matter. Like, he will catch up. They all do. When you take the time on the front end to do things right, build the foundation solidly, like, he's gonna really start to pick things up once we get the ball rolling here. So all Kayla's doing here is working leash pressure up into a sit. It's a very minimal amount of pressure because, again, we can't force him to do it. We just want him to understand that if I put pressure up and you turn it off by sitting, you also get a hot dog here. It's a win-win, right? That's easy. We're going to build on this in the next couple days, and then a lot more next week. Start teaching them how to, you know, get into a heel, walk in a heel, go to place, all these things. It starts here. Just took us a week to get him to want to do this. But like I said, it's fine. Like, he's going to catch up. It makes the most sense to me to do the leg work on the front end versus trying to cram a square peg through a round hole because it's supposed to fit. Like, we'll work at his pace, get him to do it of his own volition and have the correct understanding, and then now us and him are on the same page. It works out way better that way.
Yes, good boy.
Eileen has really come a long way since we got her. We had to kind of like slow things way down with her because she had previous bad interactions with the e-collar. Whoever used it on her in the past, like, don't let somebody put an e-collar on your dog if they don't know what they're doing. There's even a lot of dog trainers don't trust just because they say they use e-collars on the dogs. Make sure that they are using it in a way that actually is making sense to the dog. That's a whole rabbit hole I could go down for like a very long time. Let me know in the comments if you want me to make a video about it. I'm more than happy to. But there's a lot of different schools of thought for how to use the e-collar, but when you really distill it down, what has to happen is the dog has to understand where it's coming from, why it happened, what to do when it happens, how to turn it off, and how to avoid it in the first place. If they don't understand that stuff, then it's really no good to you. But remember, Eileen here is deaf. She cannot hear anything. So we are relying on the e-collar for communication and hand signals for communication. Those are two ways to talk to her. They both have to be crystal clear and make a lot of sense. So Kayla's using hand signals to get her into a heel position, walking in a heel, and then also communicating when she stops. She knows when we stop when she's heeling, just like every dog we train to automatically sit. She's telling her to stay. And then using the release hand signal, which is just throwing her hands up to let her know she's good to come and get some food. Remember, all dog training is clear communication. And when a dog is missing one of their senses, like hearing, which is one that you could very easily lean on by trying to like yell at the dog, raise your voice, intimidate them and things like that. You can't do that with a dog like her, right? Even if you could, she is a bully. Like, you're not going to intimidate this dog anyways. So the way that we train with these deaf dogs is literally no different. It's the same thing. We're just using hand signals instead of verbal commands. But the way that we teach them is exactly the same. And she's going to be able to do all the same exact stuff. This is where e-collars can really shine though, because we can actually use it, you know, when we get into like working her off leash outside and stuff like that. We can use the e-collar to get her to look for us and look to us for guidance, instead of just using it as just a punitive tool where it's like, hey, you're bad, I'm going to shock you. We're not doing that. Like, we're going to use very low level stimulations to let her know what she should be doing based on the context of what's happening. And her default behavior is going to be to look to us for guidance. This is where the vibrate feature on the e-collar comes in very handy, because we can hit that vibrate, and so we don't have to shock her every time we want to get her attention. We hit that vibrate, she will start looking around for us, and then we can give her hand signals from there. But really excited about her progress. We still have to work her through her dog aggression issues. That's coming soon, so stay tuned. We'll show you how we're going to do that. But it all starts with being able to talk to her in the first place. If she can understand what we're looking for, what we want her to do, she already knows how to defer to that judgment, then we're going to be able to safely work her around dogs. Get it.